evening, ladies and gentlemen. Perhaps some of you may recognize this old house just off Washington Square. It used to belong to a man named Charles Boone, a brilliant district attorney whose career ended during a murder trial in which I had to prove that the accused couldn't possibly have committed the crime. Unfortunately, the jury burst into laughter during Boone's summation. Shortly after that, he resigned and disappeared for about 6 months. And then he returned to carry out a strange and horrible revenge.
Hello. Oh, hello, Doctor. I'm so glad you got my message. Yes, he returned home unexpectedly an hour ago. No, he's terribly restless. He's been pacing up and down his room. I do think you should see him.
Do you, my dear Elizabeth? Do you indeed think he should? Hello? Yes, Doctor, I'm infinitely better after my stay in New Mexico. Yes. Well, you know how my wife is. No, I don't think I'll need the services of a psychiatrist any longer.
Charles, I thought...
That I left the sanitarium too soon? Would you have preferred, Elizabeth, to have had me stay there after you arranged to get rid of me?
But you were exhausted from overwork. You needed a rest, a change.
Well, do you think I've improved, Elizabeth?
You'll be able to get back to work in no time.
Will I indeed be able? It seems remarkable to me that one case should ruin a man's entire career.
But it wasn't just that case. You were on the verge of a breakdown for months before that.
Ellery Queen. Ellery Queen. Fantastic that a novelist, that an amateur detective should make such a fool of me in a courtroom.
Oh, that fixation is destroying your reason, Charles.
Well, it's a fixation that I shall ultimately remove.
How? By dwelling on it? You've talked about nothing else since you got home.
You think that I'm still emotionally ill, don't you, darling?
I think you have to start work and stop brooding about this, darling, for both our sakes.
So I shall. As soon as Mr. Queen has learned to suffer the agony that he's caused me.
Now, what are you talking about, Charles?
6 months in a sanitarium is a very long time. Gives one much time to think. I intend to bestow the benefit of all that thought on Mr. Ellery Queen. I didn't mean to frighten you. Do you think it's quite safe for a young woman to be alone on a deserted street so late?
Quite safe, thank you.
I heard you call a taxi.
Well, there'll be another along in a while.
Well, I have my car parked just down the street. It's in that direction. See, right down.
Hello? Yes, it's Ellery Queen. Who? Oh, certainly I remember you, Mr. Boone. No, I was working on a story. How have you been?
Splendid, thanks to you, Mr. Queen. Splendid. Oh, by the way, as a matter of professional interest, I thought you might be interested in learning that I committed a murder last night.
You what?
I strangled a young woman at 73rd Street and 12th.
Okay, Mr. Boone, what's the joke?
Would you like to use the phone? Miss?
Hello? Hello?
Hey.
Hello?
Hi, good morning, son.
Hello? Well, oh, it's from Charles Boone.
Yeah, I heard he was back.
Well, he's either got a twisted sense of humor or he's really off the deep end.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well, he just told me he'd strangled a woman last night at 73rd and 12th.
Yeah, must have been some nut. Drink your orange juice, son.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
73rd. Hey, wait a minute. That's strange. A woman was murdered there.
Dad, are you sure?
Of course. It's here in the paper. Here you are. The body was found by Patrolman Jackson. There wasn't a clue. We figured she had been murdered by some prowler.
But why would Boone call me about it?
Hmm.
Dad, maybe we'd better go see him.
Morning.
You frightened me, Charles.
I always seem to frighten you these days, don't I?
I've made some coffee.
Good. Thank you.
You sleep well?
You mean you didn't take time during the night to open my door? Peek in to see if I were resting comfortably?
Now, Charles, I don't spy on you.
No. Of course you do not. Yes, I slept extremely well. I closed my eyes and it was morning. Too early. Too early. It's too soon.
What did you say, Charles?
Elizabeth, why don't you answer the door, darling? What are you waiting for?
Mrs. Boone?
Yes.
Is your husband home?
Yes, he won't you go in?
Thank you.
Well, thanks, dear. How nice of you to welcome me home. And Mr. Queen.
Oh, yes.
We'd like to speak to you alone, Mr. Boone.
I keep no secrets from my wife. Now, what can I do for you gentlemen?
Why, it's about that phone call you made for my son.
What phone call?
Well, let's get this straight. Mr. Boone, are you denying that you called me about a half an hour ago?
A half hour ago, I was in my bed. Quite sound asleep. Besides, why on earth, Mr. Queen, would I call you?
I think we'd better go, Ellery.
No, wait a minute. I'd recognize your voice anyway.
Really? Even after 6 months, Mr. Queen? What did I say to you over the telephone? Please, Mr. Queen, do not concern yourself with my wife. Please go on.
You said you'd murdered a girl.
I've what? Inspector, has your son completely lost his mind?
Oh, this is ridiculous. My husband went to sleep at 10 last night. I'm sure you're mistaken.
There's no mistake. He called me.
Inspector, would you like to arrest me now, or would you rather wait until you discover some possible motive?
I think you'd better leave, gentlemen.
I'm terribly sorry, Mrs. Boone.
Do you often get confessions of this nature? Uncorroborated over the telephone, with no witnesses and no evidence?
I assure you, sir, nothing like this has ever happened to me before.
And I assure you that the chief inspector would be delighted with the efficiency of his staff.
Ellery, let's get out of here.
Good day, Mr. Queen.
Goodbye, Mr. Boone. Sorry to bother you, Mr. Boone.
Charles, Charles, I know this is fantastic, but that phone call, you didn't...
But are you implying that my sense of humor is morbid?
No, of course not, only... Well, you did say something last evening about...
About what?
About Ellery Queen. I don't know what I'm saying.
I'm quite sure you do not, Elizabeth.
What are you smiling about, Charles?
I find that I'm beginning to enjoy my life once again.
When are you going back to write that novel, son?
Well, I don't know, Dad. I don't know. I can't work. I can't think about anything except those killings.
Yeah, you and me both.
Dad, for the last time, why won't you listen to me?
Ellery, I'm having trouble enough with Chief Inspector Riley for not solving these killings without you harping on Boone every second we're together.
3 murders in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but there's no connection between these stranglings. No connection. No clues.
None at all.
No.
Except that every murder follows exactly the pattern of the first, the one that Boone confessed to.
No Boone or some crackpot who called you and said he was Boone?
That voice was Boone.
Yeah, but can you prove that to the DA? To a jury?
No. And he knows it. He's very familiar with the law. He knows that unless I can get a corroborating witness, he... Dad, could you have Boone tailed day and night?
Oh, Ellery, he's a prominent man. We just can't do that to him.
Well, so far, he's your only lead.
Oh, all right, all right. I'll have a couple of men put on Boone right away. Sorry, son.
Give me another martini, will you?
Do you mind if I join you, Mr. Queen? Make that 2 martinis, please. Yeah, I was waiting for your father to leave.
Oh, don't tell me you've been following.
Oh, yes, I have. I have another confession to make.
Really?
I think you'll find this one more fascinating than the first.
Well, I can hardly wait. And after you tell me...
And I'll deny it. Thank you. You've seen the newspaper headline. Well, I also killed those 2 young women. I suggest you release me, else I shall be forced to call a policeman.
Don't force your luck, Mr. Boone.
How? By making you my private confessor? I assure you it's just as safe as thinking to myself.
All right. What are you trying to do?
I intend to punish you for what you have done to me.
Punish me? By killing innocent people?
You have one weakness, Mr. Queen. Your sublime faith in your ability to solve crimes. You enjoy the applause, the admiration. I've set about to deprive you of both. How do you think I'm doing?
You're crazy.
And that, of course, would be my defense. If I should be foolish enough to make a mistake,
You'll make it.
I rather doubt it. It's really quite simple to be a murderer. Do you know what trips up the average murderer?
You tell me.
Well, he has a motive, and he uses a weapon. You see, I have neither. These young women have no connection whatsoever with my life. And as for a weapon... Sorry, Mr. Queen. Forgive me.
You're insane. Criminally insane.
Would you like to try to prove that in a court? No? Then perhaps you'd like to give a statement to the newspapers saying that Charles Boone has confessed to killing 3 young women whom he never saw before in his life.
You've figured out every angle, haven't you?
When a man has dealt with criminals as long as I have, he learns many angles, Mr. Queen.
I'll pin these murders on you if it's the last thing I do.
You know, something rather fantastic has happened to me. I find that I enjoy killing. There will be more murders, Mr. Queen, many more.
Bartender! My friend's had a few too many martinis.
Would you, see that he gets home before he gets into any trouble?
What's the use? You wouldn't believe me anyway.
The letter goes to Mr. Ellery Queen. Dear Mr. Queen, I, Charles Boone, 433 Washington Place South, New York City, New York, do hereby confess to the murders of Gladys Schultz, Mary Lane, and Susan Wilson. Mary Lane and Susan Wilson. This confession is given freely and without coercion, with a full desire to pay my debt to society. Signed, Charles Boone.
Will that be all, Mr. Boone?
No. Please add a P.S. I also confess to the murder of Mary Ward.
I'm doing everything I can, Inspector.
I know you are, but nothing like this has hit the department since I've been chief inspector. The commissioner's screaming for scalps. I don't like to say this, but one more murder and they'll have me assigning you to pound a beat over on Staten Island.
Yes, I know.
And another thing. Whose brilliant idea was that to have ex-district attorney Boone shadowed? Ellery. Ellery, do me a favor. Stick to writing crime fiction. Let us track down the criminals. Have you a shred of evidence against Boone? Any at all except a drunken conversation at a bar? Do you expect me to believe that a man with Boone's distinguished public record would kill those girls and then admit it to you? I know he's lost his mind. Well, this may interest you. Boone spent 2 hours with the commissioner this afternoon telling him that you've been hounding him.
And, what did the commissioner say?
He ordered me to see those detectives were called off Boone's trail.
They weren't taken off, were they?
As of 5 p.m. And he warned me about a recurrence of any such nonsense. Said he'd hold me personally responsible. Well, I hope I've made myself clear.
Yes, very clear.
I'd hate to see you pounding a beat on Staten Island.
Yes, I know.
So long.
So long. And he means every word he says, too. Here's your mail, son.
Dad.
Yes?
Look at this.
Who's it from?
Charles Boone.
Huh?
It's a full written confession.
What?
He's added another girl to his list.
Well, Ellery, that means we've got him.
No, not by a long shot. This is Boone's latest way to drive me crazy without exposing himself.
Yeah, but didn't he sign it?
Signature's typewritten. The whole letter's typewritten. He knows we can't prove he wrote it.
Yeah, but the machine was typed on.
Sure. Boone's much too clever for that. He probably dictated it to a stenographer. That may be it.
What's it?
Duluth Morgan on this letter. She could be a public stenographer.
You want me to try to classify it?
Yes. M. Morgan. Richard. Robert. Ruth. Ruth Morgan, published 4128 and a half Broadway. Let's go, Dad. It's Boone's first mistake. He's finally committed a murder with a motive.
A motive?
Yes, he wanted us typewritten. Then he would have had to destroy the typist.
Well, he wasn't fooling. Strangled just like the others.
He never even had a chance to struggle.
And the rest of the office seems to be in perfect order.
Well, there must be a lead. He's got to have overlooked something.
He just walked in and he walked out.
Dad, look at this.
What is it?
We have some evidence.
That stone? What does it mean?
I'll explain it to you later. We better hurry over to Boone's house.
Oh, who's his next victim?
I know it's late, but could you come right over? Could you?
Whom were you calling?
I called Dr. Carl, Charles. I'm so worried about you.
Why?
For your restlessness, your wanderings at night.
Wanderings at night? I only went for a walk, Elizabeth. You've been spying on me.
I haven't been spying. Why don't you understand?
You want to get rid of me, don't
Let
you?
me take you to Dr. Carl. He can help you,
You
Charles.
hate me.
I don't hate you. You can trust me.
Oh, I
Charles.
trust
You can
no one.
You don't want to do. Charles, you don't.
I want you to be careful.
Sorry to break in at this hour.
That's all right, Mr. Queen. It's always a pleasure for us to see you. This is my dear. Perhaps Mr. Queen would like some brandy.
Yes,
Now, what can I do for you this time?
About this letter.
Letter?
I received it an hour ago.
How interesting. What has it to do with me? Ah, I see someone's been using my name again.
I just came from that office.
Really?
I found a girl murdered.
How sad. I might remind you that I am no longer the district attorney.
You don't have to remind me.
I'm sorry it's so late, Mr. Queen. You can't stay. But my wife was just going to bed. Weren't you, Elizabeth?
yes, Charles.
And I trust you will sleep well, Mr. Queen.
Thanks. Oh, Mrs. Boone.
Yes, Mr. Queen?
I found this sapphire near the dead girl's body.
How do you mean? I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about.
The dead girl wore no ring. May I see your hand, Mrs. Boone?
That proves nothing.
It proves I have a material witness for the first time. You saw him kill her, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
But you were in that outfit tonight. You helped him kill her.
No, I didn't. I swear I didn't. Oh, Charles, I've got to tell. Can't go on.
Elizabeth!
I had to know what you're up to. Yes, I followed you to that building. I saw you go into that office. I waited until you left, and then I went. I saw the girl. I hope she might still be alive. Oh, Charles, why?
You better come along with me, Mr. Boone.
You see, Elizabeth, what you have done now, you've spoiled it.
Go with him, Charles. I'll get Dr. Carr. He can make them understand.
Understand? There's nothing left to understand. First I shall kill him, and then you, and finally myself. What a pity we can't go on with it.
Ellery, are you hurt?
Oh, I'm all right. Good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Boone.
Inspector, you might have use for this.
Well, what's the nickel for?
You can get on that one on the ferry to Staten Island.